Hey, welcome back to Rich Jim. It's Rachel and I show today. Blank wall behind us, but you know this is different. That's because we don't have the shelves and everything hung up yet, but at least you're back at headquarters. So today we're talking about how to put it away at the end of the day, which I thought was kind of clever because it rhymes, but now that I say it, it doesn't seem all that clever. It just seems kind of goofy. What do you think?
It's a good reminder.
Oh, thanks.
You know what I mean?
Rach always keeps it positive. Like, I could wear, like, the most ridiculous outfit possible and be like, hey, how do I look? And she'd be like, you look all right. You know, you look all right. You look all right. That means, like, it's ugly as fuck. Like, she always keeps it positive. Always, always, always. What?
It's a saying that could stick in your head. You know what I mean? Like,
No, it
it's
totally
a
is.
good
I'm just
reminder
joking
to
around.
yourself.
But how do you put it away at the end of the day? Because a lot of people, they're walking home and they're carrying work home with them in a negative way. Like, they've allowed it into their heads that work is really bad. And there's a lot of false belief out there. We're gonna we were going over this last night where we were just we're kind of just like hanging out there, and I'm like, this is like my favorite. This is just my favorite time. Like last night, and I don't mean to like sound like cheesy or anything. I even told her that I was like, I don't want to sound cheesy. I hate that I'm sounding cheesy right now. But like this is like my favorite. Like just coming home, hanging out with you at the end of the night, goofing around, just having a really good time. And it wasn't like we even had particularly good days.
We had
neither of us.
Big, long, heavy days.
Big, long, heavy day. And although mine is self-imposed, whatever. But these big, long, heavy days where there was plenty of stuff in the middle that wasn't all that great to go through. And at the end of the day, how do we put it away so that we could just like have a really good time together and do our thing at the end of the day? Because it was just really fun. I don't know how to explain that.
And also right when you came home, I don't know, we first like gave each other like a long hug. And then I kind of like got into it. I was like, so this is what happened during my day. And I was just like, 10 minutes in, I'm just like, you know what? Let's just not talk about this. Let's just go upstairs, have dinner, watch a movie, and kind of unwind. Not like get all worked up again.
We didn't watch a whole movie. We watched the end. We watched the last 15 minutes of a movie that we didn't get to finish the other day.
Yeah. And then we were too tired to do anything else.
So we were too busy to finish the movie the other day, and then like we watched like the last 15 minutes of it, which was kind of cool. It was definitely the weirdest part of the movie. But anyway, like how do you do that? You know, and like me personally, I think. By the way, please comment, share, like down below. The comments that you put in, if you have questions for us or anything like that, like how did we build this up? Because it wasn't always this way. For me, it's not been this way in past relationships, probably for either of us. And I don't think it is for most of the people out there in the world that are coming home. I think most people kind of bring their work with them home.
Yep.
Anyway. And they end up kind of letting them ruin the entire night. So for me, the number one thing, it starts in the morning. And we'll go through all of this and then we'll go back and forth and we'll recap the end. But for me, it starts in the morning. Like I wake up and I make a decision. Just like it's written on the front of my shirt, am I going to be all in today or am I going to be afraid that I'm not enough today? So I make that decision first before I do anything. And then I go through 3 agreements. Am I going to work hard? Will I, what is it? It's will, not are you ready. Will you work hard to improve today? Will you focus on the present priority? And then will you focus, will you be a positive influence? And being positive doesn't mean being nice. Being positive could mean saying the thing that isn't so nice in the moment, but it's the positive thing to push someone somewhere. And then I do a meditation, and then I do a workout, and then there's the sacred, I call it, this is very much an Adam thing. The rest of that I think everybody should do every single morning, no matter what. The atomism of it all is I call it the sacred time. The sacred time when we sit and have breakfast together. So for me, how you end your day starts in the morning.
How you end your day? Oh, how you get okay.
Yeah, it all starts in the morning. Am I going to be all in, or am I going to be afraid that I'm not enough? That does the big thing. And then what I'm going to do during the day. Am I going to work hard to improve? Yes, I'm going to find something to improve upon today. And then what's the present priority? I need to focus on that thing. If I try to focus on being with you while I'm at work, I'm going to sacrifice both. Mm-hmm. You know, I can't be with you because you're not there, and I need to focus on work. And then being a positive influence to those around me. I have a job where people pay me to push them to a new place that they're not comfortable being. So I have to be extremely positive to push them into that space. Which doesn't always mean being the nice thing. But anyway, for me, it starts in the morning.
Well, mine starts in the morning as well.
Well, how do you do it?
I try to wake up at a decent time depending on what happened the night before, how late I went to bed, but giving myself a couple, like even a half an hour before I have to like start getting ready is a nice way to start. Like with a smile on my face, getting out of bed.
It's so annoying, right? She really does wake up with a smile. It's just like, how do you do that? How do you, like...
It's not necessarily a smile. It's not, but like, I don't give into the crap, it's Monday kind of feeling.
I never understand that.
Monday,
that
I feel like Monday is like the start of something new, and it's like, I don't know, maybe it's because I never get weekends. Like in what I've done as a job in the past, I don't really know to look forward to a weekend unless something is going on. But yeah,
it could be.
So I don't give myself the opportunity to feel like, oh God, it's Monday.
It makes no sense to me. The oh God, it's Monday thing. Like
it's like starting a race off with like behind. You're behind in like, you just need to get a head start. You can get that head start by having a smile on your face, having a good attitude, waking up ready to go. You have to
have a win up front.
I don't have the energy necessarily right off the bat, but that's why I put a smile on my face. It's like the kind of like the power pose. People say they get like superpowers from it. I get the superpowers from smiling, and I think that's a real thing, honestly.
I think you can smile your way happy, sure.
Yeah, I'm not saying like I'm instantly happy by smiling. I'm just saying people look at you smiling and they're more likely to smile. If you're frowning at them, they're more likely to frown at you. Why do you want a bunch of people that are frowning around you?
It's contagious for sure, and we're going to get into that here in a second when we get to number 5.
So then I also try to sit down and either I read or I just go on my phone for a little bit. I don't give myself more than 15 minutes. But it's just like, oh, what happened overnight? Or I get caught up on like either people that might have emailed me or sent me messages throughout the night.
I don't know if that's a healthy thing. I think a lot of people do that, and like it gets into a space where, like to me, I want to be 100. Like I just want to dig into me first thing. I don't want to have the opportunity for something that outside.
So like
I want to control as much as I can. Well, yeah, like I just want to control as much as I can first thing in the morning. Because there will be no other time where you have more control than you do first thing in the morning. I don't mean control in a negative way. I mean control like what you can control.
Like to be present.
Yeah, like you can control putting your head into a space where you can push out in the day. You control when you wake up in the morning. You can control that you get your meditation in. You can control that you get your workout in. You can control those things right up front. If you wait for later in the day, then all of this other nasty shit can get in your way. If you pick up your phone and you start looking through it, it's just like an endless... I mean, you just like its own universe, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a slippery slope. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's and you can get so much negative feedback from it right away. But okay, so you do that first thing in the morning. So you wake up, you do about a 30-minute just to let yourself wake up and try to keep a positive attitude while you're going it. And you either have coffee or tea in the morning. I do a coffee every morning.
Read a little bit.
Nothing too complicated.
Sometimes I like roll around and stretch.
And then the second thing is that we like most people are going to go to work, right?
Yeah. So
to me, like I think like you go to work. So we're reverse engineering this thing of how do you end your day in a way that you can put things down by the bay, make things out of clay. Anyway, how do you end your day in a way that is still positive, is still good? So first thing is how you wake up in the morning. I think a lot of it is based on how you wake up in the morning, but then everybody's going to go to work, right? What happens at work? So when you're at work, I think a lot of people think that your job should give you a certain amount of fulfillment. And I think this is a huge, huge error. Your job is for money. A fulfillment might be a bonus. If you are fulfilled through your job, that's a bonus. If you love your job, it's a bonus. Your job is for money. Thoughts?
True. Your job can be fun, and you can have highs and lows, but to look at your work and try to be fulfilled by it is kind of counterintuitive to the duty of it. Like work equals money. We go to work for money. It's about the money. The end goal is you wouldn't if you would do it without the money, I can see that. But
What do you mean?
So if your employer just stopped paying you money, would you keep going?
No.
So if it fulfilled you, would you be more likely to do that?
Yeah, but you still need the money to survive, to buy groceries, to keep you to pay your mortgage, whatever
the bonus.
it is.
And like, I don't think a lot of people understand that you can have both, but you kind of have to work at that. Yeah. You have to find something that you're fulfilled by.
Yeah, and I think a lot of places where people work, they get bossed around. They have really lousy bosses, and they just give everybody an opportunity to think that they're not enough, and that's really too bad because it's a false belief. I got something nagging on me here.
Yeah.
Anyway, so number 2 is acknowledging what work is. You go to work for money, and if like my job is extremely fulfilling, that's a bonus. I love what I do. It's a bonus, but it's not. But like if I'm going to a job, like I'm going there to work, it's for money, and then the bonus is that I love what I do. Like I get to have a thing where the more money that I make, the more people that I help. It's amazing. It's unreal. And the more people that I help, the more money that I make. It's really cool. But the fulfillment is a bonus, and I think it's good to get clear on that kind of stuff. So then 3, like
basically, so you're not let down if you have a bad day.
Yeah, because you're
not letting that affect you.
It's
when
work.
You come home.
Yeah, it's just like competition versus cooperation. Like if you go out into a football game and things don't necessarily go your way, you're not going to throw a little fit about it. It's like, all right, I just got to keep on playing my game.
I mean, there is something to say that it does, like how we were talking about last week with competition. Mm-hmm. When you do have someone there pushing you along in a competitive event, it does kind of make you improve upon what you would do without that competition.
Yeah, and that's what a boss and a manager should be doing, is pushing you to a new level so that you can be better than you once were. Mm-hmm. If they just let you, get by without ever pursuing more, then I think that's a huge disservice to the person
Look
involved.
At it on the bright side in that respect. They're helping you improve as well.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, totally. Hopefully they are.
So if you think you're getting throwing all these punches throughout the day, they want to see you do better so that the business can do better, and then you can feel more fulfilled.
Exactly.
And maybe in that.
And that's why you don't be nice. You be positive. There's a difference between nice and positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try to look at
They're not always the same
nice
thing.
thing is.
The nice thing might be to let you skip on certain things and not work very hard. The positive thing is like, hey, we got to do better. We got to keep on getting better and better and better.
By not.
Right. And then, okay, so that's work. So acknowledging the clarity of work. So number 3 is at the end of the day. This is like to kind of like to finish off the day and go into everything else is like at the end of my day anyway. I look at the successes that I did have that day. I try to find 2 successes that I had that day. Sometimes this is very difficult because it's like, oh my God, like today is just so tough. It's just like, what are the successes that I possibly could have had? Because I feel like I failed at everything. But usually you can find at least 2. And then that at least puts your head into a different space. It's like, okay, well, at least I got those done. Mm-hmm. So I think that allows you to kind of like have to be curious about that. Oh, is your hair messed up?
It just keeps Why the hell
Why
would you do that?
I think it looks pretty. Anyway, so acknowledging the successes, and number 4, the other thing I do is what could I have improved upon so that I can learn from the errors that I made that day. I think that's a big thing too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always room for improvement. Mm-hmm. And number 4? Number
3 and 4 were the acknowledged successes, and number 4 was the what could you have improved upon. But just I think there's something to just being curious in the moment about what did happen there. And then number 5 is the one that we've been getting to this whole time, is that venting is for the weak. She was talking about this before we actually got on the show. Is just like, why would anybody why would you just sit there and pour garbage over the top of somebody else's head when they're the one that you care about most?
Especially in a relationship, we were talking about, like, say one person had a really awesome day and then the other person didn't, and all of a sudden they want to pour their garbage onto their really awesome day, and they are your partner, your significant other, so they want to help you feel better.
Yeah.
But why do you want to make that their responsibility?
I don't think people realize that they're doing that though, and it's really
they don't, and neither does the person who had the really awesome day.
Well, you should be celebrating.
Make their significant other feel less sad or less stressed, so they kind of get into that mode of, oh, I'm sorry.
But it's almost like
coddling.
Like a trap, because really, if they just would have celebrated the person that had the awesome day, then they wouldn't have had to deal with the bullshit of the person's bad day.
Yeah.
You know, if they just went the other direction and instead talked about that, then they would have been better off.
Maybe give them 5 seconds. Just be like, all right, we're not going to talk about this. We're going to move on. We're going to have a nice night together. We're going to eat some
Why is this me?
food. I'm just saying, like, if you came to me with, like, I want to pour some crap down your throat, then I would be like, I'd listen, and I'll be like, well, on the bright side, didn't you learn this? Or on the bright side, didn't you get through the day and you're still alive and now we can go watch a movie and hang out and have some fun?
We never watch movies.
I know. I know we don't watch movies, but I'm just saying it's something that when we do get a chance, which we rarely do, we kind of, that's like our downtime, like that we like to spend together.
Yeah. Anyway, to get back to venting,
yeah.
And then there's like the need to be needed, and I don't know. I think this is something that she doesn't understand very much, is like that need to be needed stuff. You know, what were you talking about? I don't even remember. How did you put it?
When?
In the car.
So maybe if Adam had a need to be needed, like if he wanted to take on that bad day.
Oh, like if you had a bad day and I had a need to be needed, and you came home and you're like, I need you to make me feel better.
Like, I don't want to make that his responsibility.
Right.
And he shouldn't want that to be his responsibility.
Fuck no.
Because that's taking away from the relationship immediately.
Yeah, it's toxic.
Both of you are just kind of wallowing.
Yeah,
and
because eventually
joining each other's pity party.
Yeah, it's like I'm not a super religious person, but it's like the 4 footprints in the sand.
Maybe.
No. There we go. We're back. Thanks, guys. What were we even talking about?
The Jesus.
Oh, the 4 footprints in the sand. So the 4 footprints in the sand is Jesus and a guy are walking along in the sand, and then all of a sudden, and there's 4 footprints behind them, and then all of a sudden there's only 2 footprints. So one person is walking in the sand, right? And the guy goes, Jesus, why did you leave me? And Jesus says, I didn't, I was carrying you. And the moral of the story, for me anyway, is that, or for anybody that has that need to be needed, that goes to instead of celebrating the wins and goes to the person in misery that's being needy. I'm not saying you're being needy, sorry for pointing at you, but anyway, that would be like saying, I'm going to take care of all of your problems. I'm going to carry you. Well, eventually, like, you're going to get tired and you're going to drop them. And as soon as you drop them, they're going to say, how could you do this to me? You said that you'd take care of me. And that's bullshit. Mm-hmm. You don't want to make that your significant other's problem. So that's why I say, like, venting is for the weak. It's like, deal with your own bullshit like an adult. And then we can have all of our stuff. So I don't want to come home and dump a bunch of crap on her. She doesn't want to come home and dump a bunch of crap on me. We want to deal with our own problems as individuals so that we can come together as an us later.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because it's a lot more fun when we're not talking about
what
stressful things that happen during the day. It's like reliving them over again. It's bringing it up again.
I think that's a good point. But
it's like having a nightmare in the middle of the night. Your body feels it. It gets stressed out.
Yeah. Do you think people are just like almost have wired themselves? I don't think people are wired for this, but do you think people have habitually wired themselves into? I'm just this is what I do day in, day out. I bitch about my stuff. I bitch about my stuff. I bitch about my stuff, and eventually that's just their life. Because there's that quote, it was in the One Life Planner this morning. It was how we live our days is how we live our lives. And it's by Annie Dillard. Okay. And like that's true. That's absolutely accurate. Like how you live today is probably how you're gonna live sort of like tomorrow, and then the next day, and then eventually that's gonna be your entire life.
Yeah. I mean, who wants to like look back and see that that's how they did it? I don't think they realize it because it's just such a norm. It's a pretty big norm, I'd say. You go to the Blackstone, and I bet it's just a bunch of. Not that there's anything wrong with Blackstone. I'm just saying.
Yeah, there is.
You go to wine with your friends, or I bet a lot of them are just kind of reliving their awful day, or talking about their husbands in a not so positive way, or their kids.
That's the thing. Like, how many friends would you have if all of a sudden you just stopped complaining about stupid stuff? If you stopped, if you stopped doing that today, and you came, she never does this. She never comes home with that, like, I need you to make me feel better thing. Never. And I've known a lot of people like that in my life, that they like come to you to try to make them they like ask you to help them feel better, and it's like, that's not my responsibility, and it shouldn't be. And I took on that role for way too long. She never does that.
Well, yeah, and I was also thinking about, like, how do some people like use, or how do some people cope in other ways other than like the, I don't know, bitching, if that's a word,
Is
but
that
in a not so positive way. So like, I had a really tough day, so I'm gonna reward myself, and I'm gonna eat till I can't even breathe.
So
kind of thing.
I think coping mechanisms are garbage. I think a lot of things
there
like
can be healthy ones, like
what?
Like exercising, or
I know, but even then, you're asking for something else to deal with your problem. You're looking at the external, trying to fix an internal issue.
I think it's helping you deal with it in a healthier manner.
It might be, but you're not going to actually get to the root of that thing until you go internal, until you change your focus from, I'm going to grab drugs, or I'm going to go to exercise, or I'm going to go to food, or I'm going to get into a relationship, or I'm going to go make more money.
I can see that.
You go to all these external things, and you externally focus, and you never actually deal with the root. If you turn all that for what it is, that's all fine and dandy and everything like that. If you go back to the internal issue, to what's going on in your mind, in your internal self, and you deal with it there, then you've got a chance.
So like how they say, look at what stresses you out, and you can find what you're afraid of and deal with the problem.
Say it again.
So like when I think it was at Tony Robbins, he was saying, look at everything that stresses you out in the day, or that gives you anxiety, and go back to the core of that, and that is what your biggest fear is.
Right, yeah, just keep on stripping back, back.
Like the onion, peel the onion, figure out, and then you can kind of deal with it.
Yeah, no, I think that's what you do. You have to get back to the source of whatever that thing is, and the source isn't out in the exercise world. The source is in the internal focus. Like, exercise is great. I'm not saying exercise is bad. Like alcohol, there's nothing wrong with alcohol. There's nothing wrong with drugs. This is one of the things that, like, when we talk.
But if you're using it as a distraction.
But if you're using it to make yourself feel good, to cover up an internal problem,
okay, now
you've got an issue. This is how addictions are born.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was leaning towards, like not using those types of, so like food and drugs and alcohol and whatever you do to like kind of just mask the problem. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly what I kind of meant to say.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do that though. They reach for these external issues. They're like for instance, I even tend to do this to a certain extent. It's not like I'm like a complete master ninja of this stuff. I don't think anybody is. It's just years and years and years of practice. I just happen to have years and years of practice. But like, if I'm scared to do something, I'm scared to start writing something. Like, I'm going to go get a cup of coffee. It's like, and then I gotta come back up. It's like, oh, I got to go do this, and I got to go do that, and I got to go do that. That's why I say it starts in the morning, because I can control those first few decisions that I make, and then that sets in motion
because it's
power.
A routine. You know that like this is what gets you started on the right path.
Because there's no one else involved. It's just me. I go down the kitchen, I grab my cup of coffee, I make my two decisions. Am I going to be all in today, or am I going to be afraid that I'm not enough today? I know that I can win at that. I know that I can win at not pushing the snooze button, just turning off the alarm and leaving the room. I got one win. And then I get downstairs, and I all in or afraid. I'm going to sit there until I'm all in. That's another win. And then I get all my meditation, all this stuff. That's another win. And then I get another win, and then I get another win. Once I step outside of the house, maybe I get to work and something unexpected happens.
But you've
now I don't have as much control.
You've already set yourself up to handle that.
Exactly. I've already set myself up to handle that.
That's kind of like how I get a text message every morning that says, "Are you going to love yourself today?"
Yeah.
So yours is, "Are you going to be all in, or are you going to be afraid you're not good enough?"
I think it's foolish to not to not acknowledge the other side. Because that is the default mechanism, is that I'm going to be afraid that I'm not enough. So I want to acknowledge both, and I want to pick the winner.
Okay.
Yeah. All in is just another word for love yourself.
So for him not to do all this stuff, it'd be like walking out of the house naked.
Yeah.
Like, it's a necessity to start the day. It's a necessity to achieve what you want to achieve.
100%. That's a really good way to put it.
It's almost worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'd rather walk out naked than not do...
I'd rather walk out naked than hit the snooze button.
Because what does that mean?
It means I lost. I hate losing.
He really hates losing.
But I love winning more than I hate losing, so... Winning
I think a lot of people do.
It's like winning is just like the tops.
And you can learn a lot of stuff from losing though too.
Yeah, but people who say that, like,
I know,
like,
you're gonna say, yeah.
Oh my,
but like,
what am I
it's
gonna
not.
say?
Well, it's not like you can't. It's not like an invitation to stop loving yourself if you lose. Is what I mean.
I don't put love in the win or loss category. Like,
well, it's not like you've. I don't know. You might look at it differently than I do.
In a competitive setting, like when I go to work, I don't have any emotions when I go to work. None. Zero. I have emotions when I'm coming home with you at night, when I'm spending time with you. When I'm at work, there is no emotion there. I love it when people are like you have to show empathy for this and that. And I'm just like, no, you don't. Like, I'm not going to go, like, you come home miserable, I'm not going to empathize with you and be like, oh, yeah, I feel miserable, too. That's not what I want to do.
Well,
I want to be like, why don't you come
emotion?
up to my level? What do you mean? When I'm at work?
Like, you turn off your emotions so you can focus on the priority?
Extremely objective. I have something that I need to get done and to get accomplished. I don't have room for emotion in that category. It's like in football when coaches used to tell us, you got to play with emotion. It's like, if you have to play with emotion, then you're probably not very good in the first place. I never, like, playing with emotion's silly. I went out there and I played for everything that I possibly could. I didn't play with emotion.
Like, play angry, or what do
exactly.
you call it?
Huh.
Play angry?
Yeah.
Or...
Yeah, playing angry is playing afraid. It's a ridiculous thing. Like, you just get scared. Like, no, I went out there like a...
Because you can't think clearly when you are working on anger. Mm-hmm. Or working with anger.
Mm-hmm. You cannot be present when you're sitting there scared to death that you're not going to be enough.
It happens all the time. I have a good example of this. So, someone that I work with, they got so busy that they couldn't get their stuff done. So then when someone comes to them for help or asks them to help them, they just froze. They couldn't handle it. Mm-hmm. And they used anger towards the people that were asking them for help. Mm-hmm. In that instance, he couldn't handle his stuff, so he couldn't handle helping others. Mm-hmm. And if he would have just calmed down and not been angry that he was so busy himself, he would have been able to clearly do all of his stuff and help them at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
And everyone lost in that instance.
Yep. All because someone couldn't be objective. Like, people look at objective and lack of emotion as a bad thing, but they're like, don't get me wrong, there's a time and place for emotions and this lovey-feely, not objective, very inefficient. But there is a time and place to be extremely objective too. It's not an either or. It's both. Like, you listen to the spiritual, like, life is this, and then you listen to these, like, life is this, like, spiritual, like everybody is one. And you listen to the other side, and they're like, bam, bam, bam. It's not either or. It's both. It's just, when are you which?
Yeah, we could all use a little bit of all of it. Like, we don't want to be 100% like this every single day. We have to have a balance of, not a balance. I know you hate that word. But we have to have both in our life.
It just gets really misunderstood. Like for us, like, you tend to do really, really well at the more cooperative, sort of just let life be and just be in the moment. And I tend to just be this huge driver, this hammer moving forward. And so I work on being more like that, and she works on being more like I tend to be. But that's the balance, right? Like how far, like balance isn't about being like, I'm not going to move anywhere. I'm balanced. And balance isn't about like, oh, well, let's just like flow with it. No, balance is going all the way as far as you can that direction, and then at a different time going all the way as far as you can that direction. It's more like
having a balance of time, so you know when to be on and when to be off.
There's some of that. Yeah, I definitely think there's some of that. That's like
if you split it by time, you can have
maybe both. That's a good is the routine thing, because like routine can be lethal, but routine can help you get so much more done too. So there is a time to be an extremely good at having a routine, and there's a time to not have any routine at all.
Something to think about.
Ba-da-bung.
Okay, are we done?
We did 30 minutes. Anything else you wanted to get across?
30, what?
You're a nerd. But how we live our days is how we live our lives. And I think if you wanted to put it away at the end of the day, I think it starts in the morning, and you have to acknowledge that all the way through the day.
Yep.
What are you laughing at?
Just the rhyme.
How to put it away at the end of the day?
Yeah.
But yeah, the number one thing, it starts in the morning. You have to make the decision. You have to make your agreements. You have to do your meditation. You have to, like, I call it my sacred time. Like, nothing is going to get into that time. And then I also have a workout. Rachel's is just a little different, but essentially she's getting the same thing. She's taking that time to get her head in the space that it needs to be. When you get to work, it's not about fulfillment. It's about money. The fulfillment is a bonus. It's a bonus. That's just what it is. And for all the people out there that are hating on money, that's probably because you don't have enough of it. There's nothing malicious about money. There's nothing greedy about money. Is just an intangible object. It's no different than, whoa, that's still got coffee in it. But it doesn't money isn't like an evil thing. That's really funny. And then at night, I think it's really good to acknowledge at least 2 successes. It's really good to look at what you could have improved upon, and then acknowledging that venting is not healthy. Like, people are like, no, you should vent your problems. No, you shouldn't. Deal with them. You're an adult. Yeah, scream into a pillow, beat up a pillow. Why don't you just go indulge in your nonsense just a little bit more there, Doc? But deal with your bullshit like adults. It's like when bosses say, if you need me for anything, come on in. Like, no, don't do that. Handle your problems and try to come up with a solution on your own first. Like if a boss said that to me, I'd be like, what? Like, you don't trust me to get it done? And so like venting, I just think is really silly. And then, yeah, how we live our days is how we live our lives. Anyway, ready to drop it down?
Yep.
All right. You want to close it out?
Sure. See you later.
Please like, comment, share below if you have questions or anything like that. Today was kind of a thrown together show. We definitely, I haven't even showered yet, so you guys should be glad that
I got
not
to shower,
here.
but he didn't get to shower.
That's right.
Dirty.
So many jokes. Can't make any of them. Anyway, thanks for being here, guys. Really appreciate it. Please slap the share button. Send this out to everybody you know. Tell us what you got out of the video, and what do you think should go back here on the wall behind us? Let us know. Anyway, thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.